Robert Plank Show, episode 269. Be resourceful. Find the hidden profits in your business, get more clients in cash, and sell with confidence with Business Optimizer Coach Stacey Hylen. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the program. We're talking right now with Stacey Hylen, and she is an internationally recognized business growth strategist and coach, and she was named International Coach of the Year in 2016. And Stacey helps 6 to 7 figure entrepreneurs with powerful marketing and sales strategies to get more clients. So Stacey, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Robert. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited that you're here. And so you help these entrepreneurs kind of, grow their business, up their game, all that kind of stuff. But, with all these other, business coaches and people like that, like how do you stand out apart from everyone else?
Well, aside from the fact that I've actually been coaching for 15 years, which means I'm practically a dinosaur in the industry, what I do with my clients is, first of all, I help them find the hidden profits in their business. So we look through their business, we look through their sales process, their marketing strategies they're using, and we find them ways that they can quickly add cash and clients to their business. Then from there, we go in deeper and we look at how we can optimize everything in their business from, again, marketing strategies, sales, internet marketing, their time, all of that. So my clients are finding, first of all, that they get a quick boost in cash flow and clients. And then afterwards, we go deeper and look more strategically for the long-term strategies that we can help them with.
Awesome. So people get the quick fix plus the long-term stuff. So they get sort of both ends of that. And so to make sure that we can kind of follow you and all that stuff, like out of these hidden profits, like do you see like the same kind of missing profits showing up over and over again, or is there a usual like go-to when people come to you with this kind of problem?
Yeah, I mean, people are so inundated right now, as you know, because you're in internet marketing, with so many different things to try. So they're looking at Facebook ads, they're looking at, everything that's coming in their inbox. And first of all, they're trying so many different things without fully optimizing the things they already have in their business. So that's usually the first thing I tell them is stop going after all these different things. Let's look at what you have in the business right now. And for example, look at how you can get more business out of each and every client in your business that you already have, that you've already done the marketing for, you've already done the sales process with. There has to be more money on the table right there. That's a good one to start with.
So what does that mean exactly? Like for people to get more money out of their existing clients, like what kind of actions do people take to do that?
So first of all, most of the time, if somebody buys something, and those of your listeners that are in internet marketing know this, that if somebody buys a book on golf, they're probably going to buy 20 or 30 books on golf, right? So what happens is the same thing with your clients is that they might be coming to you for website design or social media or coaching, whatever it is. They're also still looking for more information to help them grow their business or for more information to help their blog get more traffic. So what we want to do is look and see, okay, can I offer them something else that I could design or develop and share with them and sell to them? Or the other way to do it is to go and develop some strategic alliance relationships with people that can really help you reach that same target market, but to have them, they already have the same target market, but they have a different product that then you can get a percentage of.
Awesome, and I can totally relate to all that stuff, especially the leaving money on the table, and sort of what springs to mind there when you're talking about like contacting affiliates and looking at what else you can sell, and that like a buyer on golf is going to buy like 30 books on golf. What that always makes me think of is like when I those first couple of years when I first got started, I would put out a product or put out a course and then kind of move on and then be like, well, there's no way I can possibly go back and remarket my old stuff. But then nowadays, like I mean, I've remarketed some stuff hundreds of times and just gone back and every months later or years later said, okay, well, for the next 5 days, I'm going to be sort of promoting this old stuff. And so, like, is there anything sort of like that goes on? Like, as far as like, do people have like maybe some like old products or old offers or things in their inventories that they need to kind of remarket again?
Oh yeah, that's a really good one, because what happens is that I have a product that is selling with confidence, getting to yes without being pushy. I created that product years ago, but the people that have come on my list in the last year or two haven't even seen it. And the chances are that if they're already my perfect client, they still need that that information. And so I'm doing them a disservice by not sharing it with them.
Awesome, good way of looking at it. And that was a huge thing that took me a while to get over, and still one of those things where if I'm not careful, I kind of let myself backslide. I need to kind of remind myself that, oh yeah, even though people have seen it, like you said, I'm doing them a disservice if I'm not, kind of giving them the chance to sort of get that. And so, with all these sort of hidden profits that people are missing that you help them out with, is there any sort of method to the madness? Like, do you just kind of look at their business and kind of eyeball it and see what's there, or is there any kind of like steps or a checklist where people can kind of go through and think about some of these hidden profit centers?
Well, when I work with clients, I actually have a system that they can go through and watch the modules, and then they get coaching on implementing the modules. But if I'm working with a client one on one, the first step is I really dig into their business and ask them tons of questions. We look at, where are the holes in their business? Like, where are the holes in their marketing that they're leaving stuff on the table? It could be their follow-up process in the sales process. It could be asking for the sale. Those are all different things that we look at and we'll say, okay, well, when they ask for the sale, are they offering an upsell? Are they trying to, sell a more expensive package when it serves the client? And that's a huge one that today I had a guy that coaching client, and he was selling a program. He's doing a very inexpensive $15 a month membership site online. And I said, that's really low priced. And I said, you know what? I think you're leaving a lot of money on the table there. And I think there's room for you to have an upsell, to have here's this fitness program. Well, now we have this coaching that allows you to make sure that you do it and kick your butt. So instead of just a $15, he could be charging $1,000 a month for the person to actually kick their butt.
Awesome. And I like that sort of attitude. And I think that, I go through, like I said, I go through some of this stuff sometimes. I see a lot of newbies go through it where they sort of have that fear of the high price, and then and what sort of turned my thinking around on that was like in that example you just said, where there's like the $15 a month and then there's the $1,000 a month. Even if only one person takes them up on that $1,000 a month offer, then I mean, how many $15 a month offers would they have had to sold to equal just that one person that they had that huge boost just by asking?
Yeah, and I tend to start high and then go low because I find that those offers are easier to sell because people really want the best in the market versus I don't have a $1997 product to have people come into my list. I have free stuff and then I have high-end stuff. So I'm actually working backwards to now put in some group things that are a little bit more reasonably priced for people to afford.
And have you found that whole like starting high ticket and then kind of moving down, like have you found that that's sort of easier? Because I know at least for me, like that's easier for me because I can sort of build the whole thing, and then if I decide I want to have something like more middle of the road, I can just like pull out a piece and just sell like that part of it for a lower price. Have you found that that's like, I mean, like I guess if you had done it the other way, if you had sort of started low ticket and then sort of built up, do you think that you would never have finished, or do you think that it would have been tougher than the way that you actually did go?
I think so. And I think I would lose my enthusiasm for it because it's so much work. It's practically the same amount of work to do a low end program or product and a high end, right? So the thing is, and you have less traffic to drive, you have all of that is much easier. You only need a few to make a big cash flow boost versus if you're selling something for $20 or $50, $100, you have to sell a lot of them for them to start to add up.
Awesome, and that's a good outlook. And so, have you sort of seen that, like when you deal with these coaching clients, like is there a lot of like the confidence kind of stuff that they need help with, or like sort of that mindset inner game, or even just like a different sort of perspective on things, kind of like how we were just talking about that high ticket thing? Like, is there like a lot of the mindset stuff, or is it mostly the implementation, or sort of what kind of balance do you see when dealing with people with that?
It's a lot of mindset. I worked for Tony Robbins for 5 years. I was one of his senior coaches and vice president of his consulting division in his business mastery company that he had. And so, Tony Robbins says it's 80% mindset, 20% strategy. And so what I see is that people have challenges around their money mindset. They have challenges around their value and owning their own value. And then the other thing is around resourcefulness in terms of, I remember at one of the events that I worked with Tony that he said, he had a guy standing up and he was coaching the guy in front of everybody. And the guy said, "Oh, I tried this and it didn't work." And you knew that Tony was going to freak out on him. And Tony said, "Well, how many times did you try this thing that didn't work?" And he told Tony a few times. And he said, "Well, how many different ways did you try this?" And the guy said, "Oh, like one or two." So Tony, the thing that stuck out at me that's been the biggest thing that I learned from him was that there's people that have come to the United States that have $0 in their pocket. They don't speak English. They don't know anybody. They haven't gone to Harvard. They're not as smart as you are. They're not as well spoken as you are. But they've been more successful because they've been more resourceful. They didn't have the resources, but they got resourceful. So I think that's a big one that I really try to help my clients with, is to become resourceful. And then that then helps them gain that confidence to move forward and do more things and try things that they might not have been willing to try before.
And that's awesome, and I can totally relate to that. It's just having that sort of, if people have maybe been stuck in their head, or maybe they've been talking to the same people, or just getting those same like beliefs, especially the money beliefs and stuff, stuck in their head. Like I can totally relate to that, you being this like sort of outsider person with coming in with this sort of fresh perspective, and then with that whole the thing about, like everyone has 24 hours in a day and some people are disadvantaged. I mean, I keep seeing some of that Gary Vaynerchuk stuff where lately he's been going on about how like you might have been born as like a bug or something. You might have been born as a tree. Like you looked out that you're like a human. You were born this present day and age. Like you can speak English. You're in a Western country. There's the internet. Like so many things already stack the deck in your favor, and so I can totally relate and appreciate all that stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's important that now, I mean, we do have all of these blessings. Louis C.K., the comedian, he does this thing of when you're in an airplane and the Wi-Fi is not working.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen that? And he's like, life is amazing. You're 30,000 feet,
Yeah,
and you don't have Wi-Fi. Poor you.
like you're on the phone and the phone's too slow with the internet and it's going to space and coming back, and you're saying I've got to wait 2 seconds to come back from space. Yeah, funny.
Exactly. Yeah. So the mindset's so important. And I think for entrepreneurs, it can be a very lonely game because our spouse or our partner might not believe in us. Some people are still working a job and they're like, stuck in that whole corporate thing. So it's really important to have somebody that believes in you and believes for you that it's possible. And also surround yourself. I mean, your podcast is awesome. I've listened to a bunch of the episodes, and you have those kind of guests that every week, every day of the week, they can be inspired.
Cool. I appreciate you saying that. And so, when people sort of have this mindset issue, like they need like that like the voice to be different and new, and the pattern to be interrupted, and to have that kind of support system. I mean, what other things do you see a lot of these entrepreneurs like lacking, like time and time again, in what kind of structure or what kind of tools they need to be having?
Well, one of the things is really spending time working on their business, because they get distracted in all of this minutia, and it's just not serving them. It's not moving them towards an ROI. They're not going to get a return on investment in that time that they're spending on that minutia. So you have to be very, very dedicated to blocking out the time to work on the business, to do things to help you improve your process, to improve your sales, to improve your marketing, to increase your sales. That has to happen each and every week, and people aren't doing that.
And so, I mean, is there a reason why people aren't doing that? Because I can relate to that, in that there are definitely like some days where there are certain things I want to do. I say, awesome, I'm excited, I'm going to like do these things and move the business forward, and then there's some of those fires that come that I have to put out, or maybe there might even be just a small issue, but I have to keep on kind of switching gears. And I feel like on some days, like all my time is kind of spent switching gears from like the pressing issue versus like more of the long-term stuff. And sometimes I feel like I'm just kind of like just inching along in all these kind of categories where I wish that I could kind of have some of that like singular focus. And so, I mean, is there like a solution to that? Is it just a matter of like having that calendar and being more organized, or is there like kind of a secret to it?
Well, I think there's a few things. First of all, I would suggest that you block out your week as much as possible so that you have bigger chunks of time to work on the business. So, for example, I only do coaching clients Tuesday through Thursday. And then that allows me Mondays and Fridays to actually work on my business and do things that'll move my business forward. So I'm not, and yeah, granted, like this morning I had a guy who had an emergency. We had to reschedule his coaching call for this morning, but it's an exception. It's just very rare that I would do that, to do a coaching call on Friday. It's because I'm actually taking the whole month of March off, practically traveling. So you want to block out your week, and if you don't have a whole day that you can put aside, put a 2-hour chunk, and turn off your phone, turn off your email. I have these noise canceling earphones that I wear. I put on focus music, and I don't look at anything else other than what I'm doing. So that way nothing can intrude on that time that I've set aside. The other thing is, a lot of entrepreneurs are waiting way too long to delegate, and they're trying to do things that are not their best use of time. So, some of the things are really silly. Like one of my clients, was going to do a PowerPoint. They have a speech this weekend, and they said, "Oh, I've never done a PowerPoint before." And I said, "Well, you need to delegate that, because you're going to spend hours and hours and hours on it. Type out what you want and have somebody that knows how to do PowerPoint do it for you."
Awesome, good advice. And sort of along those lines of delegating and stuff like that, how do you sort of figure out what to delegate? Because I mean, like that PowerPoint example you just used there, like that's the kind of situation where I feel like if I did like a PowerPoint slide myself, like because I've used PowerPoint, I feel like that would go faster and better than if I just typed out the words and had someone else do it. But then I feel like, if I'm taking on all these things, like if I'm doing everything, then I'm not, having that focus. I'm not getting the things that I need doing. But then I'm like, well, if I don't do it, it's not going to be the way that I like it. So sort of, how do you balance that? Like, how do you decide like what to take on and what to delegate?
Right. We're all type A perfectionists, right?
Right.
So it's normal. That's really normal. So it has to be a shift in terms of, what is it that Robert does the best? What is it that you do the best?
I do computer programming the best.
Okay. So that is what you should be focusing on. And like your podcast, these are obviously really good that you're doing these. But so you want to look at what else is not, there's going to be somebody else out there that can do PowerPoint. It might not be your PowerPoint that you would put together, but it's good enough. And then you can also give them feedback and say, "Oh, change this. I like the font this way. I like more pictures of this." And when you start doing it, it can be really uncomfortable. I just brought on some new VAs right now, and I have to tell them they're finding photos for me. Could I find a better photo than them? Yes, but if I spend an hour finding photos, is that a good use of my time, or it would be a better use of my time to do something to move my business forward? So
Awesome.
that's how you have to weigh it.
Okay, and yeah, and I think that in my case, I kind of maybe need to start slow, and then I'll keep that in mind that if I'm spending an hour on X, is that the best use of my time, or could I have outsourced it and spent that hour on something like making a piece of software or fixing up a plugin or something like that? That's very helpful.
Yeah, and like for example, it could be small, like you're doing a PowerPoint, have somebody else find all the pictures to put in your PowerPoint.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right?
Yeah.
Or the other thing I do, I told my clients, is sometimes I have a client that's a designer, and he does much better to write things. So I said, go ahead, write out your plan. Have somebody else type it up and put it in your project management software for you. Because
Awesome.
he was thinking, oh, I have to think while I'm typing it in the project management software, which he doesn't find easy to do. I said, design it all out on the paper, have somebody else pop it up there for you. And he was like, that is huge. So really it's taking baby steps and giving feedback, and then you have to make some systems for it to make it work well for you.
Cool, but I like the way that you sort of laid it out there, where it's almost like if you don't know how to use whatever kind of thing like project management system or PowerPoint, whatever, just kind of explain it out in English terms, and then hire the person to kind of translate your plain English into whatever kind of software it needs to be put into.
Yeah, and this wasn't it wasn't that he couldn't understand the software, but he wasn't finding, like, going into the software, clicking this, adding this to the day. He wasn't finding that satisfying. It was much easier for him to get a piece of paper and say, "Oh, I'm going to do this and this," and then just have somebody pop it in there for him. So even if you know how to do it, it doesn't mean that it's a good use of your time.
Right, and especially if it's more satisfying, like if this person is like more like tactile or more like an artist or a drawer, then they probably have more fun just kind of drawing it out on paper and then scanning it or taking a picture, and then that way, like every time they're like doing that strategic stuff or doing like their part of the business, they're having fun instead of getting frustrated with some kind of unfamiliar software.
Yeah, I found the same thing last week. It was so funny. Friday night, my hubby was gone and my kids were playing, and I just came up with a new opt-in. It's more clients and cash checklist. And when I did this, I just had a piece of paper and I was sitting on the sofa and wrote the whole thing up. I wrote the whole opt-in page up, everything. But instead of then taking that time to type it in my computer, I just took a picture of it and sent it to my VA to have them type it up and put it up on the website.
Awesome, sounds like magic.
Yes.
So cool, and that, I don't want to keep you on here too long, but sort of as we're winding down, like we've kind of mentioned a little bit of like having like systems and productivity, and you mentioned like this podcast that I'm running, and sort of I have sort of like a I guess kind of like a selfish question for you because like I'm kind of on the right track of what you were describing there, where I tried doing these interviews, I tried doing them like every day, but what I've ended up doing was I've put them all sort of on Mondays and Fridays, but I'm kind of the person where like I like to just get a bunch of stuff, stacked up and recorded. And my ideal situation would be like if every Monday, if I could just, knock out 10 interviews back to back. But I feel like if I did that, I would kind of get tired or like overworked or burned out. So like, is there some kind of productivity secret, or if I wanted to do like 10 interviews every Monday, like, is there a way, do you think, like that I could make that happen? Is that possible?
Yeah, I mean, they're not long interviews, so I think you could do it. I think one of the things that's important is to take care of your energy. So you want to make sure that you're eating right. You want to make sure you're sleeping enough. That's a big one for me to make sure I go to bed on time. You also want to make sure that you take some breaks in the day. So yeah, maybe do a batch of three and then go take a walk, 15 minutes, get your energy back. Do another three, take a walk, get your energy back. But yeah, it's also the energy management as well as the time management.
All right, cool, good advice. I mean, I will do all of that, and maybe I'll slowly work my way up there. Maybe that way I don't just jump into 10 interviews in a day. Maybe I can like, once I get the sleeping figured out, or make extra care like the night before to like be extra good with the sleep, be extra good with the diet, be extra good with the walking. And maybe I can like walk myself up to like 5 and then 6 and then 10 or something.
Yeah, exactly. That would be great.
Cool. And so, I mean, we talked about a lot of cool stuff today about how you help people, like, find those hidden profits and optimize and kind of problem solve the things people are having in their business. And so, as you're dealing with all these kinds of clients and they come to you, like, do you see like a universal number one mistake that they all seem to be making these days?
Um, I would say the bright, shiny object seems to be the biggest one, that they're always looking for the newest thing. They're, like a squirrel chasing that bright, shiny object all over the place. And they're not being strategic in how they're building their business. And they're letting whatever comes in front of them influence them. When I used to work with people that had brick and mortar businesses, which I still do, but in brick and mortar business, I used to call that like the yellow page thing. That the people would knock on the door and say, "Hey, I'm selling yellow pages ads." So the guy would say yes. And then somebody else would say, "Hey, I'm selling a banner at the football stadium." And the guy would say yes. And he would just say yes to whoever came in his door to sell him something because he thought, this is a good idea. I'm going to, be in front of the football parents. This is a good idea. I'm going to be in this magazine. And he wasn't being strategic. So a lot of the thing that people need to do is to make their strategic plan, their strategic marketing plan, and then follow it and stop chasing all of these bright, shiny objects.
Awesome, that's good advice. And that whole thing about not chasing those bright, shiny objects, that ties in perfectly to how we started this conversation, where people, they get spread too thin. They want to see what emails are coming in. They want to run those Facebook ads. They have that, what the kids call FOMO, the fear of missing out. And so if people need to kind of, get their stuff together, and they should come to you to get this strategic plan, I mean, where can they find out about you? And, what kind of websites do you have? And what sorts of things do you have to offer on those sites?
Sure. So you can go to businessoptimizercoach.com. Again, that's businessoptimizercoach.com. And on my site, the first thing you can start with is I have a Hidden Profits Business Breakthrough Kit. So in that kit, you're going to get a recording of me talking about a bunch of the hidden profits. Now, the great thing about the hidden profits, these came out of the recession when, my clients were all of a sudden, their funding had dried up. They lost tons of clients overnight. They were in a real pickle. And so all of the hidden profits have to be quick and easy to implement, very fast. They're low cost or free. In fact, the majority, I think there's only 2 that cost any money to do. And then the third thing is that they work in any size business in any industry. So I would definitely download that. It also has a copy of Acres of Diamonds, which is a very good book about prosperity and mindset that you'll get in that as well. So on there, you can come see me on Facebook. It's Stacey Hylen on Facebook or Twitter. I also have classes on, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, selling with confidence, how to get that mindset shift. Because a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with, how to move from selling something somebody else's to selling something that's theirs, which they struggle with. So, and then I have the hidden profit system that I train business owners of how to go through and find the hidden profits in their business and how to implement that.
Awesome. So lots of good stuff, and that is all at businessoptimizercoach.com. And a theme that I kept hearing in our conversation today, Stacey, is that this whole thing of if your business is kind of getting the squeeze or the recession or the slowdown or whatever you want to call it, it sounds like it's almost kind of like an advantage because it's a nice opportunity to kind of clear out the crap. Because at my house here, maybe 2 days ago, the refrigerator broke, and then we had a guy come out and he had to replace a board. But then in that time, we kind of had to move the food out of the fridge and put some stuff in coolers, and there wasn't enough room. But it gave us a chance to kind of throw out all that stuff that was in the back of the fridge, in the back of the freezer. And it sounds like with some of these hidden profits that people are missing, maybe they could all use a chance to kind of clean out their business or look at some of those missed opportunities that have been kind of sitting in the back of the fridge that they should be using. So everyone should go right now to businessoptimizercoach.com and check out the hidden profit system, the selling with confidence, and sign up on that form right there to get your kit. I just signed up as well. So thanks so much, Stacey from businessoptimizercoach.com, for coming by and sharing all your cool golden nuggets with us today.
Thanks, Robert. It was great.
Thanks for listening to today's program. Start from the beginning or view past episodes at robertplank.com/episodes.